Hello everybody. In today's video we're going to be teaching you about the rule of the square. And essentially what the rule of the square is it's about pawn promotion. It's about when we have a passed pawn or a lone pawn that doesn't have a king to shoulder it, can the opponent's king catch our pawn before we promote it, right? So essentially there's this rule, it's called the rule of the square. And so what you do is you take the pawn and you draw a square, right? And if the king is inside of that square, then in theory, it should always be able to catch the pawn. However, that's only the case if it's black's turn to move. If white here, right, because we're on the first rank, technically the starting rank, the second rank for the pawn can move two squares, right? So when the pawn moves two squares, right, if the pawn moves up two squares, the rule of the square becomes smaller, right? So essentially, once you move the pawn up two squares, the king is no longer able to get inside the box because it shrunk. And it shrunk too much for the king to be able to get inside. So essentially here, no matter what they do, they can't get inside the square. However, if you play a move like a3, thinking, oh look, I can reserve a tempo, blah, 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 now the box is still big enough where it's black's turn to move and they can step inside the square. So essentially, by doing this, they step inside the square and they can meet you at a8, right? Now, they're here, they're within the square, and when you promote, they take, and two kings is just a simple draw. And so, what actually happens is, you'll play a4, right? And their king will be too far away because the box has been shrunk. And now their king cannot get inside the box, no matter which way they go. If they go back, it doesn't matter. They're too far away to stop you from making a queen and promoting the pawn. And simply, this is the rule of the square. The rule of the square is that if the king cannot step inside the box, then it cannot stop the pawn. Because now it's black's turn to move, right? And since they can't step inside the box, right? Because they would need two moves to do that. They can't stop the pawn. You can simply, in a position like this, where you know that they're outside the box, you can simply pre-move this and promote the pawn. Now, had it been, closer, this is a draw, because no matter what you do with this pawn, right, the king is already inside the box. So as you move forward, right, as you move forward up the board, the king is always going to be able to meet you inside the box. So you move forward, they move back, you move forward, they move over, you move forward, they move over, and they've met you inside the box because when you go to a7, they go here. If you don't go to a7 and you try to be slick and bring your king, okay, well, there's nothing you can really do about it. And that's it. The rule of the square is quite simple. It's pretty much just a general technique for knowing whether or not you can promote. And what you have to understand is that it's whether they can get inside the box on their move, not on your move. Because right now it's your move, right? And technically, they're inside the box. However, when you move up two squares with the pawn, they will never be able to get inside because the box shrinks drastically to this. So that's it for today's video. Please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Thanks for watching.